Okay, so in this video, let's turn our attention to creating our LP. And essentially the process is a two-step process. Step one is we will create our LP. That's what we're about to do in this video. And then step two is once we've created our LP, we then stake that LP. But of course, we need to create it first. So step one, create the LP. Step two, stake the LP. So let's go and do all that over the next couple of videos. So here I am in my vault in Locked Money, and I've created a test vault just so you can see everything from scratch if you like. Let me quickly show you as well. If I click on the staking button at the top here, I'm sure you're familiar with this, but just in case you're not, here are the two different staking pools that we've talked about many times. If I click here, LMY staking, that's a single asset staking. And if I click here, LP staking, that's obviously the LP staking. So single asset, LP, single asset, LP. We'll come back to the single asset a little bit later, but really, as you know, we just want to focus on the LP staking for now. So when it comes to the LP staking, as you know, we now need to have some Locked Money token itself and some Ethereum token. Maybe you have both already. Remember, for the lock-in and win competition, you need to make a fresh purchase of Locked Money. So if you've already got some Locked Money that's in your vault or maybe in your MetaMask or your Rabbi wallet, I mean, that's great, but you need to make a fresh purchase of Locked Money to be eligible to get a ticket for the lock-in and win. So the easiest way to do that, there's many different ways. The easiest way I would suggest is to start with some Ethereum and use some of that Ethereum to purchase some new Locked Money. Then you'll have both assets. Then you'll have the Locked Money that you've just purchased, and you'll still have the Ethereum, which of course makes up the other half of the LP. And then when we've got the two sides of the LP, we'll pair them together and then we'll stake them. The whole process really is very, very simple. So let's just go through it. And again, if this is the first time you've created an LP, I do understand, you're thinking, gosh, there's a few steps here, but let's keep it simple and step by step. There's nothing at all to be overwhelmed about. So the first thing I'm going to do is get some Ethereum. Now, I actually happen to have some already. I prepared some before this video. So if I click on my assets here in my vault, you'll see that in my vault itself, I've got some Ethereum here. At the time of making this video, it's worth almost $250. So that's perfect. Now, let me remind you, for lock in and win, the minimum amount that you have to purchase is $222. So it's $222 in total. So I've obviously got more than that here. So what I'm about to do in a second is I will spend half of this to purchase some Locked Money token. So then I'll have about $125 left of Ethereum, and I then will have purchased $125 of Locked Money, and those two together, we will then create our LP. So let's go and do that. So I've already got some Ethereum here in my vault, and I'm now going to purchase some Locked Money token. The easiest way to do that, and there's again many ways, but the easiest way is from within Locked Money, click on the big green button at the top here, and buy some Locked Money. So you might have some assets in your wallet, possibly. That's fine. I happen to have some assets, as you can see here, in my vault. That's also fine. It doesn't really matter where your asset is that you're going to use to purchase some Locked Money. Let me show you. Let me click on the green Get Locked Money button, and this dialog window will open, and we are now about to swap some of my Ethereum for Locked Money. So what am I being asked here? You might have used this before, but if not, let's go through this all the same. So the first thing I'm being asked is the origin. Where is the source of, in my case, my Ethereum? If I click on this little option here, I will get various options, either my wallet, in other words, my MetaMask wallet, or one of my vaults. I've got 5 vaults, as you can see. Now, I'm using a test vault, as I mentioned, so let me click on test vault. So my Ethereum, my 0.9 Ethereum here, in fact, let me close this, is here, as you can see, in my vault. So that's where it is. That's the source. So that is where my Ethereum is right now. Fine. So let me make sure that I'm selecting my vault. We're on the base network. That is correct. The asset that I want is Ethereum. That's fine. What do I want to swap it to? Well, firstly, where do I want to swap what I'm about to purchase? Where do I want it to be? I want it to also be in my vault. So I'm going to keep it in my test vault. We're still on the base network. That doesn't change. And the asset that I want is Locked Money. So essentially, I'm going to swap some Ethereum that's currently in my test vault, and I'm going to swap it for Locked Money also in my test vault. Now, at the moment, Here you can see in my vault, I don't have any locked money, but that's about to change. I've only got two assets at the moment, some Ethereum and some USDC. In a moment, this Ethereum will obviously half and we'll see some locked money appear. So let's go and do it again. So here we are. My origin is my test vault. I'm choosing some Ethereum. My destination is also my test vault. That's correct. And I want to have some locked money. And how much do I want? I want to swap 50%, which is about, there we go, $124.79. Perfect. So let's go and do that right now. Let me click on swap. In a moment, I'll get a little confirmation. This is confirming exactly what I want to do. Let me click execute. This is all fine. Let me click continue. MetaMask will open, asking me to confirm. I can close this at any time. In a second, we'll see that this has been executed. There we go. Transaction was successful. Fantastic. And now, sometimes it can take a couple of seconds to appear here. So if I refresh my page, I bet you we will see. There we go. Look, locked money has now appeared. So I've now got $123 worth of locked money. And obviously my Ether balance has gone down by half as well. So this is great, right? I've now got the two assets that I need in order to merge them together to create the LP. As we've just seen, I've now got my locked money. I've got my Ethereum. They're the two halves. They're the two bits that make up our LP. All we now need to do is create our LP token by putting these two together, by combining them and then staking them. So let's do all that next.